do you know about my passion? Fuck do you know about my pain?
Body's always feeling in shambles. I mean, that's actually an over-exaggeration of how I typically would feel when I'm feeling in shambles, but still not that great. Today we're supposed to have a heavy squat. We'll see what we got for the day. But I kind of want to come on here and kind of share my thoughts and opinions so far as Nationals has been going on all week. Today is Sunday, so the rest of the meet hasn't completed yet. But even then, I can kind of give you my thoughts and opinions, and since I compete in the 93 kg weight class, I can kind of talk a little bit more on my thoughts and opinions on that. But as a whole so far, I think I say this often, as much as I am a competitor and I compete in the sport, I'm also a spectator. I enjoy going to meets, I enjoy watching meets and things like that. However, with this meet, this was a really hard meet to watch, mostly because the live stream just was not good. It was constantly cutting out. There was a lot of things about that just kind of irritated me, especially it being a national level meet. You had to come in the middle. You had to come in the middle. There's a whole treadmill over there. You had to come to this one. This is the one you picked. So as I was saying, when it comes to like the meet itself as a whole, so basically, you gonna listen to me talk the whole time? Yeah, that's right. Put your headphones on. Make sure they're on too. People, bro, I tell you, man, just always doing shit in this gym. You know what I mean? Okay, back to the meet as a whole before I was so rudely interrupted. And that's not just coming from me. I'm not hating on Nationals. I compete in Powerlifting America. I want it to succeed. It just was not good. And this was a and mostly overhyped meet. It's Nationals, as it should be. When it comes to the primetime session, those things should be handled by then. I get the first day, there's some hiccups, but even then, I have friends who don't compete in the primetime session. I was trying to watch them. I found it really hard to watch, like my friend Cindy. She was competing in the earlier session on the first day. Great athlete, someone I really was like, supporting and wanted to see, and he kept glitching and going out, and they kept jumping back and forth between platforms, no matter which live stream link I hit. So I was just like, what is happening? So it got really irritable to where I just kind of completely exited out and just went to lifting cast. Let's just go get into my thoughts about 93 kg since that's the weight class I'm in. I think some other classes had some of the same issues, but like this is where I saw the disparity, I guess. The judging across the boards from the refs were absolutely diabolical. I have never seen such terrible calling. And I'm not calling people out directly, it's a national level meet. You are preparing these people for a world level competition. I'm not saying be an asshole. I'm saying call it fair across the board. When you're not able to do that, you're setting lifters up for the inevitable, which is failing at the highest level possible. And that does so much more damage because these people are going to go back into training thinking that squatting high is okay, which we know it's not. So many people got a pass for squatting high. That absolutely pissed me off. So many people, so many athletes, butts were coming off the bench. I didn't really understand how we could not see daylight and giving white lights to butts flying off the bench. I'm pretty sure a lot of people were reserved and didn't want to say certain things, but more people need to speak out. This is not okay. It's not acceptable. It's just not. I wouldn't even, as an athlete, if I had to go back and watch a lift and saw that I squatted high or saw that my butt was coming off the bench, I would be truly upset that I got white lighted. I really would, because that's not the standard that I set. Arguably, I would also say that lifters need to lift to a certain standard, but also at the same time, when you're pushing heavy loads, when you're when you're maxing, it's just really hard to make that perfect. Sometimes it looks ugly, sometimes it looks wobbly, sometimes it looks shaky, and that's okay. Like, you're doing the unimaginable things that people wish that it could do. But the judging standard for the refs need to be better. I absolutely hated that. It made watching the 93 kg class really hard too, because there are certain people in certain places and positions that shouldn't have been because of certain calls that was made. Sure, we can always default to like, hey, I'm not a ref. I'm not there at the meet. I didn't see it. It was clear, and the camera angles that we got were absolutely clear. So you can't argue with me about that. You can all you want. I'm saying you can if you want to, but it's not it. Obviously, I wasn't there. I'm not talking from a perspective of an athlete. I'm talking from the perspective of someone who's watches me. Of course, I'm an athlete, so I see things a little bit differently. But I was just really upset with the calling. I think that's what the live stream and the calling on Saturday night pissed me off. And I was just really upset because, like, we already get joked on a lot internationally, that mostly the travel, which is complete BS, mostly the travel, but now the standard, and we're playing into that, and I think that is, I think that just makes us a laughing stock, makes us a joke, makes all our numbers super inflated, which isn't 100% the case, but in this situation it was, and I couldn't argue with anyone if they said it was. So that's my piece, that's my take. Can't wait to finish watching the rest of the day. Oh, shout out to Will Bald. That motherfucker balled out. That was really cool to see. It was just really cool to see the young fella come up and just do damage. And honestly, he wasn't even at his top end. Like, let's just keep that real. That dude had like 10, 15 more kilos in him somewhere. I had said during the live stream, I was like, if he hits all his squats and they're peaked, and he's like, he just solidifies, like if he kills all his squats, no one's touching him. And that was the case. My biggest surprise of the day was Delaney Wallace. Shout out to bro. He came in, and I mean, he did what I expected Delaney to do, and that was to surprise us. But in the way in which he did, shout out to you, bro. Like, I'm looking forward to seeing another year of you growing into the 93s and what that looks like for you. Bro, your boy's been on the fall off since February 6th, since it dropped. I have not really listened to anything else. There's a couple of good albums out there right now, but to me, they're not touching the fall off. They're good, but it's just good in a different way. But the fall off, I keep coming back to. I've been listening to that album every single day, and it has not changed. That shit is just, it's aging so beautifully for me. Like, it's something that I feel like I will be listening to the rest of my life. Like, truly, I don't feel like I can ever get tired of it. No, if you listen to the album, like, yo, let me know what's your favorite song from the album and why. Like,
got the pics, me and her father, man, the school, he on niggas, can't even the real long, she caught me.
these things be so crooked. This morning, before I got to the gym, I chugged a protein shake. And that was it. Now I have a, what's this? It's not a Venti. This is a Trenta, so the big one. So I got a Trenta cold brew with brown sugar cold foam. Figure that'll hold me over until I get home and eat a large, I guess, lunch at that point in time. This time change is really messing me up because I thought I had way more time than I did. I thought it was 8:47, it's 9:47. Usually I'm, depending on what time I get here, usually I'm training well before then, so, but regardless. So since Wednesday morning, I've been feeling this like strain in my back. Well, more so like, it's not necessarily my back, it's more so, I guess you would say it's more SI, but it's shooting down into my leg. Not as bad as it's been before in the past, but I haven't felt this feeling in a long time. So just got to rehab. So depending on the day, it tells me when I need to put my knee sleeves on. I don't really know where the highest end is for today. I have an idea, a range, but I always try to base it off my last warm up and then go from there. And sometimes if that top end is like it moves better than it should, then I'll go up just a little bit more just to try to match what I need or whatever I need for the day. You can check out Macro Factor workouts using my code Pancakegawd. 2-week free trial will be given. I've been using Macro Factor workouts for quite a while now. I've been beta testing it since late last year. And then once they release and everything like that, I've been tinkering with it, changing up my programs, which I need to go in and update and change my program now that I'm working out at least a minimum of 3 days now. Some days I can get in here a couple more days. That'll be great if I can consistently do that. So I can break up my workout throughout the week as opposed to like cramming it in so many days. But being busy with work, being a busy parent, being busy with content and filling my completing my deliverables, it gets hard. It just really does. But you know, it's the price of the business, you know, trying to make money, trying to support the family, trying to do all these things, and that comes at a cost, you know. So you got to be. I already had a whole video about paying the costs, right? Now, with that being said, I've been really loving Macro Factor workouts. So I think keeping on that periodization, so it kind of does the work for me. I do a lot of the work in the beginning. I've created a section that says hard work, which is the gym I go to, and inputted all the machines we have here so that I can add that to my program, just click and plug and go. And then from there, it auto regulates things for me. But today we have a heavier top end, which I'm excited. Friday, we just did a 705 squat by 3, which was nice. Now, I'll also add my velocity tracker. This is kind of crazy. I am doing way more data than I've ever done in my entire powerlifting career since late last year. I've been using the Stance velocity tracker since late last year. I beta tested that as well. So now I've been using it in my program. It gives me a general idea of how the day's moving, how the weight's moving, how the bar's moving, basically bar speed, as we know. And that's been really cool to utilize as a tool to measure how the day's going versus my feelings. And I've been liking it a lot. It's been, you know, obviously anything with data, you gotta be consistent with it, be consistent with inputting information, so therefore it can, you know, do the information for you, or therefore it can read back what you need to know and assess how this moves in comparison to your last, and also giving you an average, which is really nice. So some of the jumps I'm taking, some of the weights that I'm hitting, it's based on a little bit of feeling and some data. Damn, I put these on wrong. So back to what I was saying, I'll sum it up. The velocity tracker has been very cool to use, a good metric to just kind of see how things have been moving. And just having that data has been really dope. I've been learning with it as I've been going. And it's been helping out my squats and bench, I'm not gonna lie. Just because it's just a different eye. This one's just data. It's, again, people can say what they want to say about like whether or not how accurate it is. I know there's so many different velocity trackers out there and none of them are 100% accurate. I know that. But the more consistent you are with it, the more you're able to rely on it based on the information given. So when I say rely, I don't mean rely on it like heavily. I just mean like we can refer to it and see it as like a secondary coach or something like that. Like, hey, I know you're feeling tired and exhausted. That's something that we need to, you know, address. Like, okay, you're tired, you're exhausted. However, the weight is still moving fine. So you kind of take whatever you want from that and kind of go with it. Like Friday when I squatted that 705, what's really fun is I've been doing this for so long now that I did 600 pounds or 595 and it moved the fastest it's ever moved since I've been using this app, using the velocity tracker, which I was like, I immediately just, all feelings and emotions just kind of went out the window. I was like, oh, just go ahead and load 7. I already knew that was going to be the top end for the day using my Macro Factor workouts. I knew because we were progressing from the 683 and then the 672 that we did the weeks prior for my secondary squats for triples. So I knew that 705 was going to be there based on just knowing how fast that bar speed moved. And it was there, it was perfect. It was a great call. So if you're looking to check any of those out, with Macro Factor workouts, you use my code Pancakegawd at checkout. Should give you 2 weeks free. the stance velocity tracker, you'll use my code Pancakegawd, but in all caps. Use Pancakegawd. That'll give you a good chunk off at checkout. Again, good metric to use. Totally up to you whether or not you want to use it. I think this is fun. I've never been the type of athlete that's cared much about what the data says. As I've gone and grown later in my powerlifting career, it's kind of cool to see that now, being at the level that I'm at. But I think this is good for anyone. It helps build confidence and all these other great things. So not trying to sell it to you, but I'm just telling you from my experience. And I recently did a video that's not a deliverable that they didn't ask for. It's just something I wanted to do. As you guys know, whenever I promote something, I want to make sure that it's a product that I can promote and get behind. So I came in on a specific day where I was exhausted and tired, and I just kind of was like, I didn't even use the tracker at first, and I was like, ooh, I'm not feeling great today. Let me turn it on and see what it says. And it confirmed that I was strong for the day. And then again, all emotions left, and I was just very objective about my numbers. And then it just really worked really well. So from that moment, I was like, cool, I'm like locked in. Even though I've been using it for months, that moment was like, I'm locked in. And then since that moment, everything's been OV-ho, OV-ho. All right, so at this point, this is when I will typically turn on my stance app. This is when I have 595 pounds on the bar. This is when I start to track because that's when I feel like it makes the biggest difference. I don't really track all my warm-ups. Hopefully I'm in frame. I'm not gonna change it again. But now I'm gonna go to my stance app. I already have it on, so I'm pulling up stance now. All right, so now it's open. I'm gonna hit squat and then low bar, so I'm gonna hit low bar. And as you can see, I already have all my sessions in here. Starting November 7th is when I first started. All right, so I'm gonna start a new session. This is still a warm up. I'm gonna go 270 kg, which is 595 pounds. And then it gives me this like little motivational thing, move with intent, which is really good. Like some of these reminders are really cool to have. But let me I already know it's connected because it wouldn't give me the start video or start set. So you can start a video and record a video showing you do this, and then it'll give you, the numbers of how fast it's moving. So whenever I'm ready, I just start the set and then I go. Then once I'm done, I'll stop it. So let's go ahead and get ready. That felt fast.
I'm gonna give it like a.
Hold on, come here, AJ. You gotta get in the camera to say this. All right, so AJ, wait, I gotta select my day. Hold on, it's gonna tell me. I gotta record this so I can kind of have it up on screen. So give me a second. Go. All right, so it's gonna give me a sense of my readiness. And AJ, you're in frame, bro. AJ tends to tell me what he thinks his speed is. So go ahead.
I'm gonna guess like between 0.38 and 0.41.
Today's AJ's so off. 0.53. That's going fast. It's fast as hell. So AJ's typically accurate, which is crazy. But it's been fun kind of referring to him too. Evan's not here today, so I get to do whatever the fuck I want. I'm kidding. Hell yeah. Yeah, your boy's moving.
Look at the size of that thing.
So simply put, for my last session, I am moving this weight faster, which is great. And that's always something you want to see. It's significant enough for me to go up. Now, the question is, how far will this line drop Everything's moving. Now let me tell you how I'm feeling. I'm actually feeling, when I lift the weight off, I don't feel like my wedge into that bar is set completely. It still feels slightly on top of my shoulders and not really like wedged into my traps like I need them to be, or my rear delts like I need them to be. Not traps, sorry about that, guys. I'm not a high bar squatter. So it doesn't feel completely wedged into my rear delts like I want it to be. So when I get up, it kind of, I'm sure this isn't what it looks like, but when I lift up, it feels like I'm like, my upper part of my back is like this. That's what it feels like. So I need to really focus on driving through and wedging myself into that. So when I get up, I'm like this, and I feel as stacked as possible. Whenever it feels like it's over top of me, I feel like I'm in a compromised position. But we'll see what that looks like on this next one. Let me sit and decide where I should go up, because this could potentially be a last warm up. And if that's the case, that's great. But this is getting close to that top end range. I already know what I'm gonna do. I'm just gonna say it's gonna be 760. I'm not doing anything crazy. However, if 760 moves, then we may go up from there depending on how fast that moves in comparison to the last session. All right, now, I miss my nigga Nala, and I can die right now. Can't believe he gone, Nala, that shit. Get tight, nigga. Come on! Let's fucking go. Don't change anything up. Be strong as fuck with it. Big brace here. Come on.
The good news is he's short. He's not gonna make it. Exactly. He's gonna fucking smoke it.
Stay strong. Stay stacked. Drive, drive, drive.
Here we go. Come on. Up, up, up.
Hell yeah. Yes, sir. Hey, baby. All right, so we just hit 804 pounds for a single. It moved really well, especially looking at how 306 pounds moved last time. It's moved significantly faster, which is so good. The goal is to make these eventually singles week 3s at 804 pounds, no less, because my body needs to get used to what that feels like. So therefore that becomes the norm for me. At this point, I've squatted 800 or more. I've attempted it 13 times. I have successfully hit 10 of those. That is a great data point to just kind of check. I'm not doing anything stupidly. There's those additional 3, well, one of those was accidental loading. 2 of those were overshoots, I'm pretty sure. One definitely was. The other one I thought I had, but it just wasn't there for the day. I messed up my groove. Now, with that being said, what I want to talk about a little bit that I think a lot of lifters don't talk about too often, or some of them don't even practice this, but I do. And as someone who's an elite squatter, I think this is very important to understand that you don't have to squat super heavy on your working sets all the time. There's a time and place for those things, but I rarely do that. Over the last few years, I have not, and I will say this over and over, the last few years, I have not squatted that heavy. There was one time where I've squatted 650 for anywhere between 4 to 5 reps. I can't remember the exact rep range, after a heavy squat, which was like the upper 600s. I don't know if it was 760 or more. I can't remember exactly. And then I went down to 650 for like 4 or 5 reps, and then went back down after that and did my last 2 sets at 485 pounds. My range that I live in is 485 pounds to 529 pounds. That is the range I live in on a week-to-week basis. And if I'm being honest, I typically stay between that 485 to 500 pound range more often than not. When I'm feeling really good, I'll probably bump it up a little bit because if everything's moving well and fluidly. But that's just where I've been living these last couple of years, and it hasn't impeded my progress. More importantly, I think it's kept me healthy long term, and I'm able to get back to training the way that I want to. Well, I'm keeping this intensity high. Now, we're talking about training age, we're talking about experience, and we're talking about age in general overall. I'm 35 years old. I have a long history of training since I was 14. Again, I'm 35, 14, you do the math. So with all those things in play and also hitting these heavier loads, doing things that people aren't doing on a consistent basis, it just looks different. And that has to be known. But take that with a grain of salt, man. Listen to your coach, listen to whoever. I'm just expressing to you guys what I do for me. I'm expressing to you all what has been working for me since I've turned 31, if I'm being honest. I will say around 31, 32, I was still like kind of not chasing, but like still pushing more than I should have been. So this has kept me honest. This has kept me safe, kept me healthier long term. So I'm continuously working that because these top end numbers have not changed. They're only getting higher and higher every time. So something's working. I'll say this much, man. This whole arm is like dying right now. It hurts, bicep, forearm, starting to bleed into my trap. Like, yeah, that just squeezing that part hurts. I think a big part of that, as I said earlier in the video, that I'm feeling this like strain or nerve issue in my back, glute going into my leg. And I know for a fact I was squatting those warm-ups more on my quads and not using my glutes as much because I could feel it in my like tendons. Like my knees, I was like, okay, I'm feeling my knees too much or the tendon in my knee way too much. I can just feel that pull and strain here. And I was like, it's because I'm like using and I'm standing on top of my quads more than I should. I'm not utilizing like my hips and glutes the way I need to. So that 800 squat, I made sure to do that. And I think doing that kind of like, I don't know if I overcompensated or what, but now my whole left arm is shot. And usually it's my right arm that gets shot, not my left. Niggas ain't never lived like that, bro. Niggas ain't never lived like that, bro, and I can tell. Overall, this was an amazing training session. Being able to come in and hit 800 pounds or more is just insane. And I love that I'm able to make that more consistent now. The goal is to give you guys a little bit more insight on my training, just like this video. But with that being said, I'm gonna end the video here. I appreciate you guys so much for watching.